Hello, my name is Renee L. Rose. I'm the founder of Explore Art Talk. With Explore Art, our featured guests, we have meaningful conversations celebrating artistic and cultural diversity that makes our world extraordinary. So sit back, relax, and check out our content. Thank you for joining us today. About your background and getting into the arts.
Okay, so I started really at a young age with a love for visual art, but definitely all the arts. We were definitely very explorative, exploring all of the different disciplines. I explored
Mhm.
dance, music, I sang, I played three
Mm.
instruments. We were like a real Renaissance family, both
Oh, wow.
so despite the professional side of our life, the arts is a very powerful tool in our household. And so I pursued art in college. I think I realized through a ninth grade teacher that she thought that I had something. And
Mm.
gained enough confidence to be able to take more and more courses. And I had wonderful teachers. I have to say
Um,
that I didn't have, maybe there was one, but most of them were very innovative, top of the line instruction, opened a lot of creative doors for me to try different um, disciplines, because even as a visual artist, there are many different disciplines:
yeah, there is.
ceramics, jewelry,
Yes,
batik, all kinds of
yes,
things. And I got
sculpture.
to try those. Exactly.
Yeah.
Not so much in the schools now, but there was a lot of ability to be able to experiment and explore. So I knew that I wanted to be on an arts trajectory. And so when I applied to Brown, it was with the intention of create some kind of creative, expressive, they call it art therapy now, career.
Yeah.
What I did not know is that it did not exist. Right. I
Yes,
was way ahead of my time with wanting to
yes.
use art as medicine and art as, some form of healing, especially coming from a family of health professionals.
Oh, okay.
And so my father was the second Black man to graduate from U of R Medical School,
Oh,
and my mother was a registered nurse. So being the first
awesome.
daughter, first child, and especially with a middle name like Althea, which does mean healer, it seemed that my fate was sealed and that I would go on into medicine. But I never had that pressure at home. I always had that creativity that was fostered through my parents. And I'm very, very fortunate to be able to follow those through to some of which I had more talent than others. But I never was pressured to have to choose the traditional medical path. So I began to carve my own identity out at the university. We had a wonderful um because there were so few black and brown people at the university, we created our own cultural hub, which was called Rights and Reason. And it's still celebrated today, 50 years later. And it
Hmm.
included all the arts, theater, music. I was a dancer as well, on visual arts. And so we had this core d'esprit that centered itself around the arts. And I, being really the only visual artist, um, I was
Oh,
always engaged and asked to do work from the programs for our dance programs, theater, things like that. I always had kind of my own little niche, even though all my colleagues were doctors, engineers, lawyers. I was really very rogue, very, very, again, ahead of my time, even though I minored in psych. So that that really kind of set the stage, Renee, for me to experiment and to follow and create my own identity rather than people, doing that
So,
for
for the time that you were in college, do you think being an African American and a female, this was like a great way for you to express your cultural identity?
Absolutely. I
Okay.
immersed myself. I became blackety blackety black. I did. I'm a child of privilege, so I'm kind of like, wow. It was so incredible to be with gifted people all over the
Mhm.
country, black and brown people that were not only gifted academicians, and educators, at the top of their game, but people who really, really were from all geographic different parts of the country. Because people think when you hang black, well, we're all come from the same place. No,
Exactly.
no, no,
It's like
that
the
is,
Cosbys when we grew up and the way
yeah,
I grew up were common.
yeah,
And
yeah.
people don't know that because that wasn't spread out throughout our communities that was happening. So I totally agree with you.
Right. I mean, it's kind of infuriating thinking, about, of course, that where we are at this moment in the country. But I really feel there's enough of us that recognize that in the small numbers, it didn't mean that we were all connected because we were all from New York City. And in fact,
Yeah,
I was from upstate New York. So most people, if you say you're from New York, they automatically put you in New York.
that's true.
And
That's
upstate
true.
and downstate are totally different,
Totally different areas.
totally different. And
Yes,
so, yes, I
yes.
did feel that it was time for me to, um, it was a time of teaching, what I knew, which was kind of nice because I was an anomaly in my class, but it also put me in a position of learning
Yeah.
and immersing myself deeply. Um, and I feel so prepared for where we are even globally today
Oh,
because I
yes.
had that in every way. I had sisters and brothers where we are all needing to be with each other and support each other. Um, it, it, I don't remember um, an environment of competition or of operating in silos, which you can hear, we can do, everyone can do, everyone can be cliquish, but that wasn't us. There were too
Yeah.
few of us. We were just
Yeah.
trying to help each other
It was a
graduate.
different time
It
too.
was a very different time.
For African Americans back then, and a strong sense of community we had. We were in a movement of pride and Black power and recognizing our identity and showing our identity to the world in a very positive way.
Right. Well stated. And I think that, it's still carried through, the generations today because even
Mm.
Black students, we wear our kente cloth stoles. Those are bestowed
Um,
upon them by alumni. We are
yeah.
all walked together when we graduate. I still have pictures of our graduation moments where we were solid, as different as we all were in discipline, profession, background. We were all united to help each other finish.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The goal was to finish, and
Mm-hmm.
we lost a number of folks who weren't able to complete their study for a variety of reasons, mostly financial,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
mostly financial. So it was a wonderful period of time, especially when I toured with the our African dance troupe, because even though I danced in my youth, it was mostly traditional, maybe modern. So
Okay.
it was really nice to be exposed to that and actually be able to do it. Sometimes it's hard for you to translate your training classically to just the freedom of movement.
Natural movement.
and
Yeah.
singing, loved the gospel choir. We toured, so I was all in it. I was all in it.
So when you left school, did you go directly into the arts, your art business, or did you develop it? How did that occur?
Um, After I finished, I really had a sense of um I it definitely was pride, but I also felt, look, I graduated from Brown and RISD. I can get a job anywhere. I am hot, all of that. And was well prepared to move into education. But at that time, there was a glut of what? Teachers,
Yeah.
lawyers. $3 an hour became very attractive after a while. So I moved into what I thought was the best um, profession to carve out this art therapy niche. And there were only two places really that you could pursue, one in the penal system or one in sheltered workshop situations. At that time, the healthcare profession didn't recognize the arts as a conduit for healing. They thought it was fluffernutter. They didn't understand it. There wasn't the kind of contemplation and reality that we have, that the application of the arts is actually, a way to heal mind, body, spirit. So
Mhm.
very, very different time.
Mhm.
Um, and I didn't last very long in it. I was too far ahead of the people
Ah,
that I wanted to work with.
yeah.
Um, I was young, and you know how youth and being a Black female, it was very difficult, very oppressive, very manipulative and insulting in some cases because I was smarter than most people. And that's
And
tough.
that's a problem still now.
Yes, that's
Being
a
a woman and being Black, if you don't
yeah,
fit into, we have a society to me in America that if you don't fit in that box
right.
and think out of the box and are confident, you're going to have a problem.
Oh, I did because most of the people that I worked for were white men.
Yeah.
I mean, that was
Yeah.
just I literally have pretty much always been the only one in the room,
Yeah.
and I had to learn how to navigate that.
Oh, yeah.
And oh yeah, and I still do. And the way I look at it is that I ask myself a basic question, which is why am I the only one in the room? And then know that being there is a conduit for others to follow only if I stay. Because what I see sometimes with our young people is they're quick to call out racism, sexism, any of the isms and the biases, but they don't have the stamina to outwit, outplay, outlast.
True. True. And
And that's
that's
something
that's very true.
that we hold to our generation, oftentimes of being first, but it was more with I'm here, and if I'm not here, who's going to open the door?
You have to be a player,
Mm-hmm.
change the rules of the game. That's
You
something
do.
that's gotten lost over several generations.
You
Yes,
do.
that's
And
true.
you have to be well prepared too. I do think that the and I'm not saying street smart isn't something that we shouldn't all cultivate and embrace. But certainly it helped me um if I had to go toe to toe, being a corporate executive, which I did go on to be, of a utility company, the last bastion of, kind of white male fiefdom that there can be, um, it really, you have to be able to be agile and really outplay.
Yeah, outmaneuver. That's in
Exactly.
any discipline.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was
Exactly.
in science, then I moved to um, being an administrator for the state. And then my father was a politician for 37 years. So I began to lobby. So everything I was around males, maybe black and white males. It was the same thing,
Right.
maybe
That's
different, a
interesting.
little difference. Yeah. But being
Hmm.
a woman and being intelligent, oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I
Definitely have to.
agree. And I think,
Yeah, that's
you're
true.
right. It didn't matter men working with men and it actually prepared me in so many ways to
Yes.
um really understand who I am. And
Yes.
that it doesn't help for me to dumb myself down in order for me to meet my own, personal
Yes.
professional goals.
Yes.
It really takes a lot of work, and also you need to build your tribe. So
Yes.
I have a
Yes.
tribe of wonderful people. Um, in probably every category. One thing as an artist, we're known for everything for walking into doors to, I mean, we get some pretty nice opportunities to really diversify our um, kind of our universe and bring people into it that are going to really not only open ways for you to serve, but also to reciprocate. It's a full circle of art life.
So, with all of that in mind, how did you, why did you decide, and how did you go into doing collages? How do you think that represents all of what we just said? How did that become your artistic expression?
I love your questions. I mean, that is deep, but also connected to how I feel collage is representative of the pieces of my life
The
that I'm
layers.
continuing to put together. Because if you look at my background, it may look like it's disparate. Like, how does this all come together to create 47 years later my decision to fully immerse myself into being an arts practitioner? All of the especially the my professional life might look like everything's totally unrelated. It's not. It's gotten me to the point where I know marketing like the back of my hand. I have so many relationships because of my community engagement roles, my roles in PR and government,
Mhm.
all of these people. It's kind of the world for me was making friends before I needed them. So now I need them because being an artist, you have to lay the groundwork for that and be dedicated to that. And so
Well
now
said. Very well
all
said.
those people are
Mhm.
coming full circle from 2 decades ago. It's something that they didn't know I did. Many had no idea that I even had an arts background
Well, I
because
can
they,
say I can definitely attest to that
yeah.
because my background is not in the arts. My career was not in the arts. I've always been passionate about the arts and culture. And for me to have an art magazine, I had a gallery, but my background is totally different. And you're right, people didn't know, but my whole life, the layers of my life is coming out now, and it's coming out through this. So I
And you can
definitely
and you can
understand what
feel
you're
the
saying.
joy of that. I mean,
Exactly.
just the point at which, you and I have been connecting primarily electronically,
Yes.
but I know you can see me. I
Yes.
know that you get exactly kind of the sister that's coming through the layers that collages metaphorically created my voice. And so my pieces are really more about using that voice to touch my muse,
Mhm.
which are very deliberately selected. I'm not random, not really. Um, and I'm already working with images that people love.
Mhm.
So then the trick is to add my flavor because I'm not doing a straight statement piece or self portrait. And when I began the kites, the kite is really a love story between myself and my muse, who was
Mm.
one of Garth Dance. She was a principal dancer for him. I did dance for him for a little bit, and went back for love to college. If I hadn't done that, I might still been dancing. But she danced with him for 21 years. We're good friends, and she shared with me her breast cancer diagnosis at 50.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah.
And in order to work through that, I said, Nikki, I've got this beautiful picture of you that I've been wanting to do anyway. And I'd like to, because I have a show called The Phoenix coming up, turn you into a bird. So I said, can I do that? And she says, sure, girl, go ahead. And so I started the project. And I thought, oh my gosh, she's such a dear soul to me. I got to do this right, right? That's the only thing with a commission. You just feel like, oh, wow, I don't know. So I was struggling with the structure of the canvas. It just kept me bound. I just felt like I wasn't really connecting the way I wanted to with her story. So I dreamed that night, I kid you not, turn her into a kite.
Mm.
Because her arms were already outstretched in this beautiful position. And I already was headed toward having her transform her arms into the wings and her legs into the tail of the phoenix. So I
Lots
called
of
her up that
freedom.
morning and I said, Nikki, can I turn you into, I need to turn you into a kite now. And the beauty of a relationship, especially one of trust, is she just said, okay. I'd never done a kite before, Renee. Never.
Mm.
I'm not a 3D person, but the universe, because I believe it came from love, conspired to assist me. So that piece, she put the sun on. I entered it into several competitions and began winning awards like crazy. The choreographer for Garth Dance, who's also a good friend, saw her kite and said, "Oh no, she can't have one. I want one too. She can't be the only one." And then I did a third one, which was of the executive director. And they're all related to their vibe and their stories and what they do. And people have responded so positively to them. I have now a collection of 14 kites,
To me,
and I'm still building them.
it represents boundless freedom, unlimitedness. I
Yes.
can see, and
And
I
it wasn't
admire
a
and I'm
plan.
glad that you were able to let go. That's what creatives are like. I'm a painter, I'm an oil painter. But so it's you were able to let go and then box yourself in and just go with it and let yourself, express what you were feeling. And that's why it came out like that.
Yeah, it's been amazing. And each kite is like that because they're really portraits. And
Wow.
then I have
Wow.
most fun with the tails.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's nice to have the structure of the kite, and I'm starting to get like out of what you see as a traditional kite. Our oldest daughter is a marine biologist, and again, my kids are in all non-traditional stuff, which has been part of a reflection of my upbringing, being able to try all these different underrepresented things. And I did a kite that is, kind of in the shape of the whale sharks, which is her field of study.
Oh,
And
I was going to
her
ask you what the tails were
own
like.
photo, I used her own photo on, scuba diving, and built this kite. You might have seen it in some of the photos that I sent you. But each piece, if I were to do one of you, it would be kind of our soul space,
Uh,
that it's really about the connection. And the commissions to me are satisfying because they're about relationships that are beyond the canvas. So I'm enjoying the exploration of something new, and people have never seen anything like it before.
Mm,
So I'm excited to
that's
be able to get
awesome.
the work out. Um, Definitely, I am looking geographically to potentially do installations and
Mm,
create a body of work. I call this particular first phase of the collection Rising on the Wind, the Messengers. So each has a
mm.
story, you know. I come from a family of storytellers. So the work isn't just you put it on the wall or hang it in the air. They also reflect a
That's part
story.
of our culture. We come
It
from a
is.
culture of storytellers.
It
How
is.
we told our history, especially since they didn't, in this country, they didn't want you to write anything down and publish it.
Right.
And even in Africa, they are storytellers.
Well, here we are subject to erasure again. So we have to
Yeah.
find out other ways to communicate, our the meaning that we have for each other and to make sure that we are seen.
Yes.
And
Have you ever
innovation is
taught?
part of that.
Have you ever taught any classes?
I'm just getting ready to work with sixth graders
Wow.
and social emotional learning. They are children who have seen trauma. And from what I've shared with you that the creative expression and therapy, and especially now, our children do not have a connection to art forms that can help them find conduits
Yep.
that are healthy. And so I'm
Oh, I
so
agree.
excited. I'll be working starting in April with 8 children,
Wow.
sixth graders, and we will be building kites. So right now it looks like they'll be butterflies because they're the easiest structurally to do. And even the males, the boys, I got them in mind because we know they look too cool. But I have a photographer friend who's going to take pictures of them, do a photo shoot because they're going to respond to the photo shoot, and they will become the body of the kite, the body of the butterfly, and so they can, do they can be just as Nikki is in the kite that we've been talking about, Triumph. Their arms can be the
Wings,
wings. They
yeah.
can, but the centerpiece is going to be their image so they can own it. And they will pick a theme that they're working on with their social emotional learning counselor, like resilience, or,
Oh,
what
wow.
have they
That is
gone through?
awesome.
Yeah, so I'm so excited,
I'm
Renee. And
excited listening to
yeah, I know. And
I was there.
their tail, oh, I'll teach you, I'll do one for you. But it's so cool because the tails, they will put on strips of cloth the words.
Oh,
And so each of their tales will be different and related to them and how they're working through their specific trauma. And
that
they are
is so beautiful.
graduating this year. So the sixth graders will be kind of highlighted at their little graduation ceremony.
Oh, that is because they have middle schools there.
Yes.
Okay, so they'll be graduating too. Oh, that
Yeah.
is awesome.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. So, what I hope to do is to set the stage for me to be able to do that, to replicate that because I am an educator. It's something, my life could probably keep you on Zoom for another 3 hours.
I did it an hour because I had so much to talk to you about. I wanted to talk to
Oh,
you about this quickly.
okay.
I find since I've been doing this, I started doing my magazine in 2015. But I find for the first time, and I'm asking other artists that's in our generation, to me, the baby boomers run the art world at the top all the way down. I see more of them and then more of Gen X, but millenniums, I say 35 and down, especially Gen Z, which are in their 20s, there's a disconnect. They are not going into the art world, which I think is actually a positive, trying to be attracted to those number one galleries, or my goal is to be into Art Basel. They seem to be finding their own muse. their own way of communicating and exposing their art. And they also seem to be doing multi mediums all together,
Mhm.
are doing interdisciplinary art. For what you're doing, I find a
Right.
lot of them doing that. I don't care what color they are. And what kind of experience do you see, or have you had any experiences with Gen Z artists?
I enjoy them so much because they're very smart. And let's face it, the Gen Zers and the ones after them, remember my grandchildren, and
Oh yeah,
I vibe
alpha
with
and
young
beta.
people. Yeah, and yeah, I'm geriatric now, so they just think I'm cute, so so they're like so happy to kind of learn my process, but also where I benefit is they're savvy. I am
Oh,
actually working with a Gen Zer now on she's developing a virtual platform through Metaverse.
oh
Right. I know
wow.
it's cutting edge. She just got I don't know what you call it, but she's monetizing her gallery, and she's not quite yet at NFTs, but she's moving into that world. And
Oh, I know
I'm going with
exactly
her
what
because
she's
I
doing.
can't take myself. These kids know how to work all that.
Wow,
So,
that's unique.
yeah,
I
yeah.
know
So
exactly what she's doing.
I'm excited about her. I'll let you know when the virtual gallery's up in the metaverse.
Ooh,
But
I
she's
would
actually
love
going
to
to make
see
my
that.
kites fly. I I can tell their stories. I mean, it's like uh, hmm, it's I don't want to say it's like a game, but it's structured kind of like that. And all our grandchildren they're agile. I mean, they're gamers.
Oh yeah, yeah,
They're big gamers. In fact, my granddaughter who's graduating from college, huge gamer. She beats the boys. They just want to play with her because she can play.
yeah,
You know, so I love young people. I really do. I think the arts helps connect me to them because I'm
yes,
not trying to tell them what to do or show them what to
yes,
do.
yes,
There's a freedom of expression that says, gee, how did you apply that fabric? What did you do? How did you build the tail? It's more like non-threatening.
yeah. It's a mentorship.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
parental. It's
exactly.
easy. It's easy. And um I think too that it works because I can learn from them, and I make sure that to let them know that I can learn and want to learn from them. They
Yeah,
need that
yeah.
because they've been through a pretty tough time. My
They're
granddaughter
gonna go
through
through
the
a very tough
pandemic.
time.
Yeah, all those pandemic kids should be getting free college education as far as I'm concerned.
They're gonna go through a tough time because we're in a new world order.
Oh
Everything has
man.
changed in the United States. I feel Black people will survive because we never quite got the American dream anyhow. It was always like dangled in front of our face. So we're
Mhm.
used to having to adapt. But
Mhm.
as a whole, Gen Z is going to have it difficult with climate change. You know, they live in a global society with problems all over the world. Yeah, I think the arts and culture can help give them some self-confidence and help balance them. It's almost like a religion to me, in a sense. It can help,
I agree with you, and
you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I am very open because I wish that the doors back when I would have been considered a Gen Zer were open like that.
Yeah.
We we essentially had to create our own pathway. And so knowing how difficult it is, I really look forward to the opportunities to expand, my universe with what they know and help them also at the same time, because many of them really don't understand how to create their brand. They're all over the place. They got
Right, right. Because
merchandising,
they
they
don't
got
teach them
clothes, they
that.
got, yeah,
They
they're
don't
trying to see who even as an influencer.
exactly.
What does it mean if you're an influencer? Okay, so
Right. Yeah. That's the thing that is I found when I started, as a society, I was painting in high school, and I said, "Oh, I'm going to get back into my painting because I was working so much as a lobbyist, and politics is intense." So it was an outlet, and I couldn't turn. I'm very left and right brain. I couldn't turn off my business mind. I said, "This is nice. I like this." I said, "I'm gonna try a gallery." I did that, and I got into the magazine. But the first thing I noticed in visual arts is like these people have no business sense.
Right.
They just
You
do
don't.
stuff. They don't understand marketing. They don't understand business. Not all, but most, unlike
Right.
musicians, understand the business of the music world.
That's a
Dancers a
good
little
point.
bit better, but visual artists, I find them like,
Right.
it was surprising to me.
Right. No, I would agree with that. I think, too, because there are so many pathways with the visual arts, I think that also is a problem. So you've got the monetization issue, which is, okay, I got to make some money doing this so I can make money pushing my fashion brand, as opposed to I'm going to be doing, 2D artwork. And even if you're doing 2D artwork, then how am I going to do that? Am I going to paint? And if I'm going to paint, is it going to be acrylic? Is it going to be oil? Is it going to be gouache
Yeah.
or
They
watercolor? Is it
don't
going to be,
figure out
I
their
mean,
branding. They just,
no,
and the
no.
barrier to
And they
entry,
don't have classical.
exactly,
Yeah,
their barrier to
yeah.
entry
They don't have
is
classical
so
training
high.
either.
Exactly.
Right. They don't. In fact, my mentor, who is a 50 plus year veteran, is esteemed iconic black watercolor artist Levant Shepard. He's
Mhm.
been at RIT for 50 years teaching. I mean, we've talked often about young artists now are not trained classically. They
No.
do not understand color theory. They don't
Well, they
understand.
don't teach it in school. I
No,
mean, we took
exactly.
it out of every school, practically in
Yep.
the whole American. Even I have
Yeah.
friends, outside the country. Like I have a friend in Italy, and he's really into the arts, but he's a journalist, and he said the arts are dying, culture is dying in Italy and in Europe too. This is not
Yeah.
taught in society, and they
Yeah.
wonder why people don't get along. But
Right.
anyhow, that's a whole other
I
conversation.
know. We could spend a
Yeah,
whole other Zoom doing that, or just personally. Yeah,
exactly.
I would love to keep up with you and just have other conversations. But yeah, there's benefits to obviously the relationships with Gen
Yeah,
Zers and beyond. I
yeah.
look forward to those. I'm not afraid of those. I'm not afraid of AI either.
Oh yeah. I've
You know,
interviewed two different people, two different
I am not
generations
afraid
that
of
do
it.
AI art. Yeah.
I'm not. Have you seen some of the AI generated work?
Yeah.
You
Well, one of the guys I interviewed, he's an architectural design professor. I mean, world esteemed, and he does AI art. I mean, it's unbelievable. Okay.
Yeah.
Then I have another young man that's black that lives in Washington, D.C. He does AI art. He's classically trained, but he's really good. And it's all black, like space creatures. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think we
It's
need
like,
that. When you talk about expression and you talk about, again, carving out new territory where our, especially young people feel they can fit.
yeah,
Gaming is a huge thing. So I don't really quite understand the fear of AI because I'm not, and the other thing is I'm not afraid. I wouldn't like it, but if people want to replicate my work or think they can, have at it.
that's how
I
I've
mean,
tried to tell some people. But you have a very young spirit, and you're
thank
very
you.
non-threatening. I found people that are more traditionalists who are not as agile tend to be more against AI. And I keep telling them, I say, you guys are late because my undergrad's in biology. I'm like, they've been doing AI in the Pentagon and research. I graduated from the University of Chicago. They've been doing that stuff decades ago. You're just getting the public version of it. I said, so
Right.
you're too late to resist. It's everywhere. But
I know. I mean, and I don't know how people could think that they can stop it. It would be more helpful to embrace it and try to
it's
incorporate
fear.
it into true,
It's a
but
lot
fear
of
of
fear.
what? But fear of what? You're not going to make money from your work. Fear. What is the identified
But you
fear?
think about it, that's across our society now.
True,
Things are
true,
so
true,
advanced,
Renee,
so
true.
out of people's control. People have become more illiterate, read less books, less
Right.
intelligent, and what lasts is their fear and control. I don't understand it, so I got to stop it. I got to control it, which is not going to
Right.
happen, but that seems to be going out through society.
Well, that's another thing I don't think our young people will tolerate. We don't see it
No,
now. A lot of them didn't
I
vote.
agree
But
with
I
you.
think, again, when things start to affect them,
They're not going to be like we
which
were. They're not going to stand back.
no, that's how I feel. I
Yeah,
I think they're going to go. I think they're
yeah,
going to go,
yeah.
but we'll see. We'll see. Well, I don't want this to end.
You are, you know, Alan Singer is the person that referred you to me. You know who I'm
Oh,
talking
he's
about.
such a he I do. I
Yes,
do.
because and he's going to
Such a
be referring
talented.
more people, and he referred two people to me, and the other person I interviewed earlier was a young black professor, and you and I just this has been a you guys have made my day. I love talking to
Oh.
people. I love to find out about what people are doing. And as a black person, because most of you are black, it just makes me feel so good that we have all this knowledge out here that can really help our communities and help people, period. Because it's needed because we
Well,
don't,
and I'm so glad you're embracing what you're doing too, because
thank you.
understand, you're creating this exposure, this ability for us to, again, emerge with our respective stories,
Yes,
intergenerationally,
yes.
interculturally, Alan just was so gracious. He wrote a wonderful blog. He didn't have to do that after attending my solo exhibition.
He's a sweetie.
And he really is. And, when you think about what people do for you, kind of the hidden figures that anybody would have guessed that he would have referred me to you. And that simultaneously, I have two pieces, one of which sold, by the way,
Oh,
in
good.
Griffin, the
Oh,
Black Creativity, if
yeah,
you
you
can
told me
get
about
there
that. They
before
had the
April
gala. They
27th.
just
But
had the gala for that exhibition.
yeah, well,
I wasn't
apparently
able to
that's
go,
where
but
somebody
yeah.
saw this piece. And in fact, I've had two calls since that one was purchased, and people want me to replicate it. So in a way I can, but yeah, it was a pretty powerful piece. So
Good.
I'm happy about it. But Alan is just precious cargo.
Yeah, he is. His father was a well-known artist and he became an artist. He's a beautiful person. I've been
Yes,
blessed
absolutely.
to meet some beautiful people around the world. Really, really
Oh,
blessed.
good.
You know, I really want to spread this. I'm going to start working with more Gen Z people. I'm trying to highlight them more. And
Okay.
I've been asking everybody because there's definitely they're off into their little world and the rest of the art world's in its little world. And I'm like, this has got to stop. We've got to
Right.
bring them
We've
in
we've
and
got to make sure that we take care of them, that we're good
exactly,
stewards of them. Because
exactly.
if we don't do it, who's going to do it, Renee?
That's true.
It's
Yeah,
kind of
it's
like the
true.
open door mentorship. And who knows where, your where things will evolve for you. I mean,
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
just one layer of Renee. It,
yeah, yeah.
you know, and I will help you in any way that I can.
Thank you. Well, you
Any
are
way that
welcome
I
to
can.
refer artists to me.
Okay,
Looking
I
for
will.
young ones too. So
Yes.
you're welcome to.
Yes, well, I have plenty of connections with youngins, so I'd be glad to do that. Especially this little chica who's doing this metaverse stuff.
Oh yeah, you definitely need to refer her to
She,
me.
well,
That
she's
is,
also she's also multidisciplinary. You talk about these kids. There,
oh gosh.
she has a radio show. She is
Wow.
yeah, she's a comedian. She is an artist, and she's a vocalist. She has her own band.
Oh wow. I love it. I
Yeah, so I'll
absolutely
definitely
love
refer
it.
her to you. Yeah. Oh, good. Well, thank you so much for
Okay.
this opportunity to not only get to know you, but to talk a little bit about me, and hopefully we can continue the relationship going
Yes, let's
forward.
keep in touch.
I would love that. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Have a nice week.
You too. Bye bye,
Okay.
Renee.
Bye-bye.